Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, Books, Beverages, and Author Conversations. We are back for a reading recap. I'm Bree.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Megan.
Good
did it.
job.
We got it, guys. That was great.
Great job.
I hesitated. Megan
I
and I
saw
had
your
like the
face.
eyes, the virtual eyes, like who's gonna, you go.
And my trick was I made eye contact with no one.
There you go.
I just went first. I was like, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I'm Bree. Awesome. Well, I was taking a sneak peek at all the books you guys have read, and I'm so excited to talk about some of them. So let's just go ahead and I guess get right into it, if that sounds good. Megan, you want to kick us off with your recent reads?
Yes.
Go, girl.
I'm like scrolling through everyone else's notes, and there's like so much more written than mine. So, whoops. Okay.
I think my reviews are like 2 sentences long.
Okay, good. Okay, so my first book, I brought my books with me just so I can show that I've proof of reading. Happy Place, Emily Henry.
This one. I love.
Yes. Okay, so my recap. Harriet is about to face the biggest dread in her life, her ex-fiance, Wynn. The only problem is no one knows that they are exes yet. While brought together by their closest friends for one last hurrah in their happy place, a beautiful beach home in Maine, the last thing they want to be doing is spending time together. They are forced to keep up their facade of being engaged, and they also find out that another set of their friends is going to be married. So pressure is on to make everything look happy and perfect. And they're getting married that weekend while they are at their happy place. Things clunk along for Harriet and Wynn, but you start to realize that while their relationship has ended, the rest of the group is also starting to feel a shift. Each member has their own personal life going on. Getting together has been really hard, and now those distances and emotions are all coming to a head. As tensions rise for the group, it becomes clear that something is wrong. Will the truth finally come out about Harriet and Wynn? Will the group survive this breakup? Is the happy place the only thing that's really keeping everyone together? You better read to find out. That's what I got.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. So, and those are my words. I cheated a couple
You
times
did great.
and did the Goodreads review. So this is my summary.
Well done.
So I said in review, super, super cute book. Like I felt like the pacing was great. The story was, it just kept you moving. It kept you engaged. I said specifically, I want to be friends with this group, especially at this vacation spot, because everyone loves that one rich friend who has that one rich dad, and then you just get a mooch off of them and go to these wonderful places.
Those are the people you make friends with.
Yeah.
Let me
Yes.
tell you.
It's been, I've had the privilege of doing it for a bachelorette party, and it was wonderful. So I love how, even though the book was really centered around Harriet and Wynn, we saw a lot of development for the rest of the characters too. So the story wasn't central to them, but I feel like you got to know what their history was and how they were friends from college to now and how everyone's relationship evolved. And I felt like that was just a really nice change and something that you don't always hear about, especially in, a romance. I feel like it's always about the two that's romantically centered, but this was a nice just overall change. My only negative is like I don't like Harriet. I don't. I just like she was trying to be all like easygoing and so, oh my gosh, everything like whatever you guys want to do. And I'm like, if I was that person's friend, I'd be like, make up your damn mind. Like have an opinion. Care about something. You're not being easygoing by not caring at all. So that was and in the book, not to spoil anything, but there is a moment where that exact rant happens to her face. So at least she knows how everyone else is feeling.
I don't think it's an popular opinion. Just to kind of throw it out there, we covered this book on my former podcast, my previous podcast, Tales Over Tales. And I think my co-host on that podcast felt the same way that you did. And I found myself, not to try to give anything away, but I found myself slightly frustrated with the ending just a little bit. You find yourself like asking, why did it have to end that way? Like it's good. It is a decent ending. Okay, fine. But
No, I haven't read it yet.
Well, because I say, Megan, I also read this book this month. So I didn't include because I knew you were covering it, and I agree completely with your comments. I think, as with many romance novels, part of it is like the book would be 10 pages if people just communicated. And I think Harriet's like problem was like she was in her head a bunch because one of the main conflicts is, long distance. Doesn't spoil it much, right? But just long distance relationships, and you can't really be in your head when there's like a communication that needs to happen there. And I think that was one of my frustration points is I kept reading it and going like, just
Say
let them
something.
talk.
Yeah,
Just say something. Just
call somebody.
call somebody. Like, come on. I will add it did give vibes of This Summer Will Be Different. That
Yes.
I know, right,
Oh my
Megan, that we've
gosh.
talked about.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
definitely had like strong vibes, and if you like This Summer Will Be Different, you will love Happy Place.
Yes.
Okay,
Can I
that's good
ask
to
you
know.
too, Megan, out of
Mhm.
curiosity, because you've brought book lovers, is this the only other Emily Henry you've read?
No,
Just
she's read
those
People We
two?
Meet on Vacation.
Yeah. People
Oh, okay. Okay.
book
Okay.
lover.
I'll speak for
People.
you on that.
Yes, thank you, Brie. Well, honestly, it's been so long now that I'm like, what did I read it? I don't know. So yeah, but I mean, overall, I did really enjoy this book, and I said, if you appreciate a scenic coastal setting, a second chance love story, some drama, and just an overall love for Emily Henry, then you will love this novel.
Mhm.
It is. It's so sweet. It's very
It's really
good. I'm
cute.
glad you brought it. I'm about halfway through her latest release, A Great Big Beautiful Life right now, and it's absolutely wonderful. I'm a big Emily Henry fan.
Yeah. This book, I have to give a shout out to you three because this was my first Emily Henry book, reading Happy Place.
It was
And
my first too.
I know, jaws on the floor, right? I loved it and have now read Great Big Beautiful Life. That'll be in my May like recap. And I've got, what's the other one I've got here? Beach Read is next on my
Also good.
like, so I'm working my way through the Emily Henry Chronicles.
I'm pretty sure Beach Read was the first one that I read of hers. I went Beach Read, Book Lovers, People We Meet on Vacation, Funny Story, which I just read and talking about
I've got that
today.
one.
Nice.
And then I've had Happy Place since it came out and haven't
and
read
just
it.
haven't read it.
Yeah.
It's good.
But
It is
so good.
Yes. So hopefully, I mean, I didn't mean to put like that negative spin on it, I guess, I didn't love Harriet. That's all. Everyone else I thought was great.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that that's it's not
No.
the first time I've
Yeah.
heard that. So you're
I
not
feel
alone.
like with romance, you either have like the super strong, super bold, outgoing, gonna say what's on their mind female character, and then you have the Harriet character where it's a lot more internal dialogue. I don't know if I should say this. I don't know how people will interpret it, and nothing ever is said out loud because they don't know what the consequence is going to be. Whereas if you would have just said it out loud, then you would find out what the consequence was.
There you go.
hmm Okay, my second book this is just to be cheeky because I didn't have a true second read, but I got this for Mother's Day from my brother
love
and
it.
sister-in-law, and it's called There Are Way Worse Moms Than You.
Love it.
And,
I
or
love
Their Moms
this.
Are Way Worse Than You. It's by Glenn Boozin, and then it's illustrated by Priscilla Witt. And it's basically like I literally read this to my son. I had to bleep out some of the bad words, but I read this to my son because it's just a funny like haha type of book. It's an illustrated kind of children's book. It's comically describing all sorts of animal moms and dads who parent much worse than any intrusive thought that you might have as a parent about your child. It touches on everything
Good.
from giraffes to ants to beetles to horses to everything. And it's such a funny, sweet reminder that you are the perfect parent for your child. So it was just a funny, like, I don't know, just I needed this, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So some of the examples, I named some of the animals, but then at the very end, there is an appendix that goes into like more detail about the animal and like more scientifically like why they might do this. But then there are some animals who do crazy shit and there's no reason for it. The one that no one knows why they do it is that hamsters will sometimes just eat their whole litter and no one knows why. Isn't that horrible?
I was today years old when I learned this.
Yeah.
I was just saying, no.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
that's
it's
horrifying.
crazy. It's
What?
horrible. So you're a better parent than a hamster. Is what this book will tell you, because you're not going to eat your baby.
Emily said, so you're telling
was
me
saying-
I'm winning because I haven't eaten my children.
Yeah.
I think I need to order this book, Megan, because there have been some days where I should just end my day with reading it cover to cover
Yes.
and
you
reminding
should.
myself that I'm better than a hamster. I'll take the W.
Yes. I'm trying to think of, there's other ones, because it also says like, there are some dads, and I think the, like the alphas of packs will sometimes do not so kind things to the babies in certain packs either. So I don't know. It was just a lighthearted, funny reminder that you are doing so much better than you ever thought that you could
I
be
love it.
because of what happens in the wild. And I just also thought it was appropriate to share for Mother's Day. So order this book.
Happy Mother's Day
Perfect.
to all the mothers out there.
Yes.
Amen.
So that's my second book.
Love it. That's
I'm
awesome.
so
love
glad
it.
you brought it. I think
That's
that's
awesome.
fantastic. And it yeah, no, that's perfect. Oh my gosh. I feel like, how do I go from that to my book?
I know. I'm so glad I don't go after that.
Thanks, Megan. Thanks.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
Ooh, goodness
I also
gracious.
just feel like we learned so much about animals on this podcast, like unintentionally, like the bear stuff.
Yeah.
I use that
still remember
everywhere. I tell everybody that. I'm like, hey, here's what you need to know about bears. Like, that's like my fun fact for people.
Do you guys know
And
it?
that's
Do you know
all
the
because
three bears?
all because of this podcast.
Yeah.
and
Wait, no,
books.
fill us in.
I don't think I know
Sorry.
the three bears.
Okay, so if you're going to be attacked by a bear, if it's
Mhm.
brown, if a brown bear, lie down. If it's black, fight back. If
Yes.
it's white, good night, you're dead. Polar bears will kill you.
You're dead.
Yep.
I feel like I probably did learn that at some point in grade school, but
I didn't. I
No.
learned it
Yeah,
from
I
a book.
sure didn't. I can tell you right now, I only know that because of this podcast.
Yeah.
I did know that ahead of
But
it or
you-
before this,
You live around bears.
but I grew up in Phoenix.
True.
Like
no bears
so-
here. There's no bears.
No, there are bears in the South though, and this is maybe a story for another time, but I will say, so my dad was attacked by a bear when he was a kid. And
What?
so that was always like when he would tell us the story, he like followed it up with like what you do.
So was it a
with
brown
that.
bear? Did he lie down?
No, he was so quick. He was sleeping. He was camping in southern Arizona, and it was a mama bear and with her cubs,
Nope.
and the whole camp was quiet. And
Nope.
basically, Mama bear tripped over my dad who was sleeping. So all of a sudden, he was between her and baby or babies, which
No.
like no fault of his own because he was like in the sleeping bag and it just was at night. And so
This is absolutely terrifying.
so yeah, so
I don't
she
even know
like
what to say. I'm at a loss for words.
so she like full on attacked like out of the sleeping bag like completely. And my dad's fine. I'm here. Like he was 9, so like I'm everyone
He
was
was
fine.
9.
Yeah, and so or 8 or 9 or something like that. And
baby.
the funny part that we laughed, there is a funny part to this story. But because it was dark, he was sleeping next to his cousin who was unscathed. But obviously my dad screamed, so his cousin like jumped up, saw the bear in the dark and thought it was a donkey. So ran to
You think a
to my
bear
grandma.
is a donkey?
and
Sorry.
was like auntie, like Mark's being attacked by a donkey, and everyone thought it was a nightmare until they heard like the commotion and yeah, right, and like yeah. So,
Gosh.
but it's
I
all
don't know if
fine.
that makes me feel better about moving on to my books further.
Well, okay, did he have to have any like reconstructive surgery? Like, was he fine?
I mean, he had to have stitches like all around like his head, and he had rabies shots, right? Because
Yeah,
of course,
yeah,
like
of course,
you don't
right.
know, like right.
Yeah.
And but otherwise, I mean, we tell him he's not fine, but that's more like a daughter to a dad, right? But
Is that a literal
yeah.
like tongue-in-cheek joke whenever your dad is like doing something or other and it's like, well, you were attacked by a bear, so
Yeah, right, 100%. So, but you
Oh.
can. I mean, I don't want to say you can survive a bear attack, but 100% depends on the bear.
I
my
mean-
heart is definitely racing from that story.
You definitely can,
Like
but
the MFN.
don't
Did you listen to
the Night of the Grizzly,
Yes.
I think about that episode like a lot.
all the time.
because like Jared and I hike a lot,
Yeah.
and one of my biggest fears is to like have an interaction with a bear. And yeah, the night of the grizzly, I like after I listened to that episode, I felt like I like couldn't have conversations with anybody without being like, "Did you know that this happened?"
I've heard the news. It was
Like,
40 years
it
ago.
was in the 70s or something, but I'm like, I like
She's
couldn't
meeting someone for the first
for a
time.
very
Hi, my
long
name is
time.
Bree. Did you
Well,
know?
yeah, I like didn't know how to talk to people. I was like, "Did you know that this happened? This is insane." Yeah, that's terrifying. Emily, that is so scary and is like one of my biggest it is one of my biggest fears.
Terrifying.
When Jared and I were out, we went to Lassen last year. Are you okay? Ben, are you okay? Where's Dad? Go get Dad. Yeah, he'll help you. Sorry. I was like, what is going on? He was like acting like he was choking. Okay, so we went out to Lassen and like I don't know if you've ever been to Lassen, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's like it is so one, highly recommend. It's a national park and it's super secluded, like not a lot of people I feel like go to. It's kind of one of the lesser known ones. It is so cool. It is so cool. And there's a range of things to do from like, early hiking if you're not like don't want to be outside a ton to like very strenuous. It's such a cool park. But on our drive in, there's one area we were taking this just like dirt road. And it is so, I mean, it's just brown everywhere. And part of that is because of like some fires and things like so. But we're just driving along on this dirt road. There's no service or anything. And we were in the car and we see this huge bear. And so see this huge bear and we were like, okay, in the car. And so stopped and like took some video and whatnot or whatever. And then we carried on. And that entire hike, like, because they blend in so well to the scenery there, I was so paranoid the whole time. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna run into a bear on this
Yeah.
hike. Like we're
Yeah.
definitely going to. Anytime I would see movement, I was like, Jared, he's like, you gotta stop. Like this is insane. And I was just like, well, like we know, like we saw one on the way in. I was so paranoid and I don't know how to describe it because like just it was very, very eerie and there's not a lot of people out there. So like any movement or sound, I was like, bear, bear. Like it was all.
I'm with you. If it's too quiet, we usually take our two labs if we go hiking anywhere. And so I'm like, okay, the dogs are gonna act funny,
Yes.
like well before I am even aware of anything on the trail. So they're my canary in the coal mine. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you guys are acting weird, we're leaving right
Yeah.
now.
That's a good
That's
call.
terrifying, Brie, though. That would be terrifying.
Oh, not as scary as what your dad went through, but it's just like one of my biggest fears.
Goodness.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Ooh.
On that note,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Wonderful. Yep. And this is a great segue and transition to this book. Lord have mercy. Well, kudos and props to you, Megan, especially for bringing your recaps, writing them on your own. I completely got mine from Storygraph, by the way, because that's just what I like to do. I think that they can do it better than I do. So the first book that I have for us today for the recap is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. Here's the setup. When her brother-in-law shoots a dog going after their sheep, Beth doesn't realize the gunshot will alter the course of their lives. For the dog belonged to none other than Gabriel Wolfe, the man Beth loved as a teenager, the man who broke her heart all those years ago. Gabriel has returned to the village with his young son, Leo, a boy who reminds Beth very much of her own son, Bobby, who died a few years earlier. As Beth is pulled back into Gabriel and Leo's lives, tensions around the village arise, and jealousy rears its ugly head. Beth and her gentle and kind husband, Frank, are happily married, but they have their fair share of secrets, and their relationship relies on the past staying buried. When the truth begins to come out, events spiral out of control, this time with deadly consequences. Beth is forced to make a choice between the woman she once was and the woman she has become. A sweeping, sexy love story with the pace and twists of a thriller, Broken Country is a novel of simmering passion, impossible choices, and explosive consequences that toggle between the past and present to explore the far-reaching legacy of first love. So, this book is wild. Wild. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. There are a lot of twists and turns, a lot, many that I did not see coming. And I will throw out trigger warnings, obviously, here. If you're not a reader that enjoys love triangles, this may not be the book for you.
Or shooting dogs.
Well, okay, there's that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or child death, because this deals with loss in a very honest and real way, very raw way. So absolutely, I would say that if that's not your jam, maybe don't pick up this book. But every single character had depth, had so much heart to them, and the writing was just absolutely brilliant. Of course, every book needs a smarmy weasel, and Frank's brother is the smarmy weasel. I'm not going to lie about that. You'll walk away from the ending in particular literally being like, that is not what I expected out of this at all. The twists and turns that come with this book are sensational. So if this sounds like that's something up your alley, by all means, absolutely pick it up. And I listened to it. I actually listened to the audiobook, and that was what made it really, really cool as well. It's a dual timeline told between the past with Beth and Gabriel's love story, how that developed, and then present day with Frank and Beth and their marriage. So the timeline worked really well for this book too. I will say that also.
What's like the time period?
Yes, good question. 1960s, actually. 1960s
I'm thinking
countryside
like
England.
1800, like
actually.
Wild
Yeah.
West.
Oh, in
No.
England.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
So the present day timeline is 1960s, like countryside England. I can't remember exactly what the name of the village is, but then the past timeline obviously is like 40s, 50s when they were teenagers and had fallen in love.
I mean, I put that on my TBR so fast. Literally was like, want to read.
I have seen so much on, I think it just came out, right, Jordan? Like fairly recently.
I feel like I've seen a lot about it too.
But I've
It
seen a lot
came
about
out
it.
within the last year or two, I want
Yeah.
to say. Yes. So it's gotten a lot of buzz, and it's one of those Reese's book club picks,
That's where
whatever.
it's Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's worthy of listening to as well. Like, I'm not
Ooh.
saying not to like read with your eyeballs, but I've been super selective lately about listening to books because that's just been working for me in this season of my life. And this was a good one. This was a really, really good one to listen to. So, highly, highly recommend. So, my second book, I would not be who I am if I did not bring Abby Jimenez again to this podcast. So, her latest release, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, here's the setup. There might be no such thing as a perfect guy, but Xavier Rush comes disastrously close. A gorgeous veterinarian giving Greek god vibes, all while cuddling a tiny kitten? Immediately, yes. And that is until Xavier opens his mouth and proves that even sculpted gods can say the absolute wrong thing. Like, really wrong. Of course, there's nothing Samantha loves more than proving a jerk wrong. Unless, of course, he can admit he made a mistake. After one incredible and seemingly endless date, possibly the best date in living history, Samantha is forced to admit the truth. Her family is in crisis, and any kind of relationship would be impossible. Samantha begs Xavier to forget her. That's right, I said forget her, to remember their night together as a perfect moment, as crushing as that may be. Only no amount of distance or time is nearly enough to forget that something is there between them. And the only thing better than one single perfect memory is to make a life or even a love worth remembering. Okay, so immediately 5 out of 5. There's nothing Abby Jimenez can't do that I'm not going to love. Literally, this woman could write the phone book, if you children even know what phone books are these days, and I would still absolutely 100% love it. So trigger warning for this book. There is dementia, there is loss. This is not really giving anything away because this is part of, synopsis or setups. If you read online, Samantha's mom is suffering from early onset Alzheimer's or dementia. I can't remember which one, but that's what takes her from Minnesota to California. And she literally meets Xavier and has this incredible date with him the night before she leaves, before she's moving to be with her family. So there were times that this book was hard to read for that reason. There are very real depictions of things that happen to caregivers. And I don't think that we lift them up enough or that we say enough about what they go through, particularly if you are a caregiver to a family member suffering in this way. And it just, it broke my heart. And yet at the same time, it was a balm to my heart at the same time that I did not even know that I needed. And there's an element to this book, obviously, that I'm partial to because my husband and I started long distance. He lived in Missouri and I was in Arizona for the first year and a half, almost 2 years of our relationship. And so I understood how hard it is when it's just the text messages, it's just the FaceTimes, it's just whatever, you're waiting for just those moments that you kind of live in the in between, so to speak, rather than in the day to day. So if you're still into it after I've given all of that with these trigger warnings, please read it. I know that this is not for everybody. It was a local book club pick for my group out here in Arizona, in Phoenix. There were some that didn't care for it, that were not super big fans. But like I said, I will be a ride or die for Abby Jimenez until the end of time.
I
I'm
have to say,
pretty sure I made my mother-in-law buy that book the other weekend, so I hope
Really?
she falls into your camp.
I have to say, Jordan, I appreciate hearing your review because I think this was another one that's I've seen all over Bookstagram and Book Talk, and it's just come out, and the cover is so deceptive of the
A little
depth
bit.
of the story because I
Yes.
maybe just right on the cover you have it's pinks and blues and happy colors and a beach scene, and it's a woman and a man walking on the beach, and there's a whole depth to it that I appreciate hearing your review, that it's not just this, because I've shied away from picking it up, going okay, when I go on vacation and want a fluffy beach read, I will
Well,
jump
this
down
is
that rabbit hole, and it sounds like it's not that, and
yeah.
that's great to hear.
It is. And that's the thing that I love about Abby Jimenez. She can be light, she can be fluffy and funny. She's got a little bit of the witty banter like Emily Henry does, and that's what I love about them, or even Allie Hazelwood. I'm a big fan of all of these big name authors for those reasons, but something that Abby Jimenez has for me personally is the depth and just the way that she writes her characters to be very real people. And I think she has even shared in interviews, I mean, at least especially for the male main characters, Yeah, they're gonna be perfect. They're the ones that are meant to be perfect because this is the book. That's the way that works, right? But our female main characters are dealing with these real things, and you have to, yeah. I loved it so much. It was so,
I
so
love
good.
it. I am curious because Jordan, I think you're with Abby Jimenez, like huge fan. I'm with
Yes.
you. I'm curious, Bree and Megan, are there any authors or like an author that would be your Abby Jimenez or not? Like
I
no can
mean,
be
just that, like, I feel like they can do no wrong.
like
Or how about
anything
we
they
pose the question this way? You're stranded on a deserted island and theirs are the only books you have.
Oh no, I would never pick just one. I don't
See?
know if I see. I would have to name like multiples. Like I don't know if I could name just one. I will
I
say,
have
like my top two that come to mind are probably Emily Henry and Kristen Hanna.
there you go.
Okay. Yep. Kristen Hanna's up there for me 100%.
And I'll go ahead and throw Sarah J. Maas in there because, like, I will say, I
Really
mean,
though?
if you strand me on an island and you're like, you can only have like a few books, I'm gonna be like, I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
but
give me.
guess what?
I'll read Throne of Glass over and
Over and
over and
over and
over and
over.
over and over.
I'm with you,
There you go.
but even with no announcement of the 6th ACOTAR book? Really?
Yeah, because I said Throne of Glass. Well, yes, and also, I mean, you guys know this. This is no secret. I'm a Rhys and Feyre fan all day long. So the second we hit Silver Flames, I was kind of like, okay, I guess.
That's true.
Like
You
I
have the
didn't,
Nesta eye
I
roll.
didn't become like a Nesta, a supporter until Crescent City.
I remember
Till
that.
later.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, give me books 1 through 3 ACOTAR, and I like yes,
You're happy. I
I'm
love it.
good. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I hear you on the 6th book. It's kind of like okay, come on now. But no, Throne of
Oh,
Glass.
yeah.
You want me to read all 8 of those over and over again? I mean, no joke. It's like a constant struggle to be like, okay, do I just read that whole thing and put everything else on hold
That's no,
and
listen,
reread Throne of Glass?
you make a
But
solid argument.
but here's my thing with that. Sorry, total tangent. Here's my thing. I would want to skip like Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight and jump right to Air of Fire.
I think you got to get through those. That
I
might be a
know,
whole
and
like
that's like, because then I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do a reread, I gotta commit to the reread, but would really want to just pop right
get to the
over to
good
Air.
stuff.
Yeah, and throw an Assassin's Blade there too. Like I would definitely reread that because I loved that.
I get that. There are some movies that I watch just by fast forwarding to the parts that I want to see, and then we're good. I'm with you. I hear you. Megan, I'm curious, what about
Yeah.
your, because I know Megan's like, I have no Throne of Glass. What would be yours?
I I feel like recently I've really loved Frida McFadden. Like all of her just like that, I just a little psychological kind of I don't know, whatever she's got going on, I've been picking up. Um I like I like Kristen Hanna also. I feel like I've read quite a few of her books at this point now too. Um I don't know. Is it okay if you have a G, would you say Gillian or would you say Jillian?
Jillian.
I know that's
Jillian.
hard.
Okay. So Jillian Flynn, I'm not Gillian Flynn. I would pick her up. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I feel like for a long time in my life, and this will let you know a little bit more about me. I was an avid Stephen King reader. Like that is all I read.
Okay.
I
Wow.
started
Okay.
it mostly so that I wouldn't be scared of things, and then it actually just made me more scared of things because he writes really scary shit.
It had the reverse effect.
It had the
Awesome.
reverse effect, but I also feel stronger
Bold
because of
move.
it.
Can I just say, like, bold move, Megan, on the to not be scared of things, that was the tactic. A
Yeah.
plus on,
You know what?
yeah.
Because my theory is if you can be scarier than the thing that scares you, then you shouldn't be scared. So I was like, I'm gonna read all this scary
Logic.
book. I'll
Yeah.
know what to do, and then I won't be scared anymore. Specifically regarding clowns and it. That was I think I watched that movie initially way too young in my life, and it's just been like a lifelong fear of mine. So I was like, I'm gonna get over it, and I never did, and I didn't even finish that book because I was scared. So
I mean, you're just affirming my
There you
decision
go.
not to read it.
Not to read it
So
or watch. Yeah.
That's
yes,
okay.
but I feel like I would probably go back to Stephen King books too. If I mean, and he has so many. I mean, you can do. People are still making movies and shows off of books that he's written. Like it's just he's got a well, he's a legend, really.
Yes.
So I feel like that, or I don't know. I feel like I get into moods where like once I start picking up one thing from an author and I like whatever I initially start reading, then I can easily fall into like, well, I'll just read the next one and then I'll read the next one and the next one. So I don't have like a diehard go to, but certainly I feel like I can easily fall into a trend.
That's fair. Fair. I'd say
Emily?
mine. Yeah, I'd say mine is, and I think I'm going to butcher her first name, so I do apologize on pronunciation. Philippa Gregory, who wrote The Other Boleyn Girl
Yes.
and like The Constant Princess and all of her historical fiction. I devour her books, love them. They are fantastic. And she has a new one coming out in October. But she is the Abby Jimenez for me, where like I'm going to love them always. And they're ones that I could reread. Also, Sarah J. Maas and Kristen Hanna and like Emily and all the authors that we've named are fabulous. And I buy them so fast, like the minute their new stuff comes out. But Philippa Gregory is my ride or die. She doesn't know it, but she is my ride or die.
That's a solid choice. I love that. I love that for you. Okay.
All right, Emily, we must get into your books because I can't tell you how excited I am for your first one.
I knew the minute I put these notes in, Bree, that I was like, Bree's going to be like ready to roll.
I'm like,
Um,
if she, first of all, like, trying not to look ahead, but if you say you don't like this book, we're gonna skip ahead and like edit out.
I was
Like,
We're going to
this book,
pretend
this
it
book
didn't even
gets
happen.
this book gets no notes.
no, I was laughing. I was like, I wonder if I could like pull a little prank and put like, okay, hated this book, did not like it, like in the notes. And I wonder if Bree would have been like, oh, Emily, sorry, the recording time's been changed. Like, we're done.
You're like, so we're actually
Tease.
gonna cut everybody down to one book,
One book, and
and
it's
Emily,
your
you
second
can't
book.
talk about that one.
Yes. I tease. But I was laughing because when I was putting together these notes, I realized that I think my theme of books I was reading last month was like magical realism. That's what all of these books that I'm going to talk about have in common, which was a nice, I'll call it like fantasy light. Because I think a few months ago I went deep into romantasy, fantasy land, and this was a nice, like, shallow end of the pool, if you will. Um, so yes, the 7 Year Slip, which I loved. And thank you guys so much for sending this to me with like I said, starting postpartum again and new baby. It was like the perfect, just I don't know what to call it, breath of fresh air, love
Oh,
story, just fantastic. Devoured it. It's a quick read. It's not that long. So I did pull this recap from Goodreads. So I will just go into that and then I'll give my comments. But from Goodreads, sometimes the worst day of your life happens and you have to figure out how to live after it. So Clementine forms a plan to keep her heart safe. Work hard, find someone decent to love, and try to remember to chase the moon. The last one is silly and obviously metaphorical, but her aunt always told her that you need at least one big dream to keep going. And for the last year, that plan has gone off without a hitch. Mostly. The love part is hard because she doesn't want to get too close to anyone. She isn't sure her heart can take it. And then she finds a strange man standing in the kitchen of her late aunt's apartment. A man with kind eyes and a southern drawl and a taste for lemon pies. The kind of man that before it all she would have fallen head over heels for. And she might again. Except he exists in the past, 7 years ago to be exact. And she, quite literally, lives 7 years in his future. Her aunt always said the apartment was a pinch in time, a place where moments blended together like watercolors, and Clementine knows that if she lets her heart fall, she'll be doomed. After all, love is never a matter of time, but a matter of timing.
It gives me
Fabulous. I just,
chills.
like, it
see,
was,
now I feel like I'm not. I'm out. I'm like the odd person out since I haven't read it yet.
I think, Jordan, you'd love it. It's an
I
absolute,
know
like,
I would.
gem of a read. It would not take you very long. I was actually surprised at how impactful this book, for how short it is. Not that length means impact, but like just the fact that it was so quick to read and it has stuck with me. I think, Brie, you mentioned this when it came up on another episode. Like the number of times I've thought about this book since I have read it in just day-to-day life. It's fabulous. I thought the characters like had depth, and there was, I mean, I just enjoyed like learning about them throughout the story. Because it follows Clementine's like, this is where time gets weird, right? Like her path forward, but then she's going 7 years back in the past. So it kind of does two parallel timelines, but it's the main female character's continual time, if that makes any sense. Um, I thought the magical realism was also like woven in really nicely. It felt plausible. Like, of course, there is a time traveling apartment in New York City. Why wouldn't there be one? Like, duh.
There's
So
one
I
on
just,
every corner, actually.
on every corner, like right next to the Starbucks. So I thought that was really well done. I also, and this is more of, I think, a personal thing for me, I 1000, 2000% saw myself in what I call that chaotic dance with work life balance that
Yep.
Clementine struggles with in this book. I mean, like, I was like, whoa. I went through my own like struggle with that a few years ago before I had my first son. And that was just, I mean, so well written, so well articulated. The development that Clementine goes through with that, it just resonated with me. And I think many others would resonate
Same.
with that.
I think that
Great.
that's maybe why it was like I cried and stuff. I don't know, because you definitely feel like she articulated things that you, or that, at least that I have like always had a hard time
Mm-hmm.
actually voicing or even like forming the real thoughts around it. And you know, like sometimes you read a book and it just says exactly how you felt or what you wanted to
Yes.
say, but you just could
Yes.
not find the words to really say it. To me, that book did that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Like
I
it was just,
love
100%.
that.
there's so much more depth beyond the romance in that book.
I feel
For
like the
sure.
same can be said about music in a lot of ways too, right? There's songs, there's books, there's things that find you in the right time. Growing up, my mom used to always encourage me to be a songwriter. She wanted me to do music. She was write music, do it, like write your lyrics, blah blah blah. And I would go, it's already been written. Like
Yeah.
I just find it. It's there for me and it finds me. I feel that way about books too.
I think that's a good like the big part of this is the chase the moon, and then like it's a matter of timing, not
Yes.
time. And I think that speaks to it too, that there's a lot that, you know, because Clementine meets this guy 7 years in the past, but then the big question is like, do they connect 7 years? Like, is the timing going to be right again? So I don't want to give it away because this is a spoiler free episode, but no notes, loved it, highly recommend. I also have to laugh because I have kind of a long story, two like stuffed animal pigeons on our bookshelf, and they are now affectionately called Mother and Fucker after this book. So that is not that my 2-year-old knows their official names, but that is, I told him, I was like, they are now called this after this book.
We will
So
now be calling them
yes,
appropriately. I'm so glad you liked it.
I loved it.
Like, I mean, I'm like a little, I recommend that book so often, but I'm always like, oh, but what if they don't like it? But
Oh, it's,
because I love it so much, I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I don't know what's not to like. So I would be on that train of highly recommend that book for sure. So then the next, I'm doing a double feature on my next book. It's a duology. But I read them so fast that I just consider it one book. They're not, though. It is like book one and book two. And we're going from magical realism of a time traveling apartment in New York to 1880s Egypt in the height of like, when people were digging in, what is it, the Valley of the Kings, and deep into Egyptian history. So it's Secrets of the Nile duology, What the River Knows and Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibanez. And I have the two Goodreads summaries that I have edited because I didn't want to give away spoilers. So I'll read those and then go into my review. So the first book starts off by covering Bolivian Argentinian Inez Oliveira belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires. And like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old world magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. Inez has everything a girl might want, except for the one thing she yearns the most, her globe-trotting parents who frequently leave her behind. When she receives word of their tragic deaths, Inez inherits their massive fortune and a mysterious guardian, an archaeologist in partnership with his Egyptian brother-in-law. Yearning for answers, Inez sails to Cairo, bringing her sketch pads and an ancient golden ring her father sent her for safekeeping before he died. But upon her arrival, the old world magic tethered to the ring pulls her down a path where she soon discovers there's more to her parents' disappearance than what her guardian led her to believe. With her guardian's infuriatingly handsome assistant thwarting her at every turn, Inez must rely on ancient magic to uncover the truth about her parents' disappearance, or risk becoming a pawn in a larger game that will kill her. So if you are fans of like Indiana Jones, The Mummy, with a touch of romance thrown in, you will love this book. It's a quick read.
Very
It's
cool.
very good. So then book 2, this is where it's highly edited, but also from Goodreads with my edits. Inez traveled across the world to Egypt seeking answers into her parents' recent and mysterious deaths. But all her searching led her down a perilous road filled with heartache, betrayal, and a dangerous magic that pulled her deep into the past. When her uncle issues an ultimatum about her inheritance, she's left with only one option to consider: marriage. With her heart on the line, Inez might have to bind her fate to the one person whose secret plans could ruin her. Both books, like I said, outstanding. This was one of those where when I finished book 1, I just immediately picked up book 2 and like kept on reading. It is full of like the character dynamics are great, the secrets and the twists and turns. So that kind of, there's a mystery component if you like kind of thriller mystery piece. There is criminal underworld of 1880s Egypt and like black market and artifacts, and that was really interesting and a good like twist, right? So I really enjoyed it. There is a romance component, as you can tell from the summaries, that was, I think, really well done, and for me was very reminiscent of like The Mummy, if you've seen the movie. Um, so yeah, and the magical realism, kind of same thing. I thought was really fun that it's magic is attached to these ancient objects, and they're just in everyday life, so you never know if like a random object is going to do something that it's maybe not supposed to, like a scarf that shrinks objects, or like a teacup that can communicate when it's filled with water to the matching teacup. So it's kind of a fun like world that also felt maybe a little more far-fetched than a time traveling apartment, but equally fun, and you know that you could at least buy into what the world building was about. So there we go. Cheers.
Wow. Very
Cheers.
cool.
Adds to TBR.
Yep, 100%. No, this one, I remember when it came out that it was super buzzworthy as well, not that long ago. And so this, it sounds incredible. I'm excited to bump it up my TBR as well.
There we go. Great.
Okay, I'll start with my first one. So my first one is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole, which is book 1 in the Kindred's Curse series. This is a book that's been on my TBR for a while, and I too was just like, let me go ahead and start book 1. Like book 3 had just come out, and I was like, yeah, you know, we could just like enjoy this over an extended period of time. So I'm only going to talk to you about book 1, really, because otherwise I'm going to give literally everything away. So this is a recap straight from Goodreads, because I waited till the last minute. In a mortal world colonized by the gods and ruled over by the Descended, their cruel offspring, DM Bellator yearns to escape her life in her poor village. Her mother's sudden disappearance and the discovery of a dangerous secret about her past offer DM an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of the Descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. With the dying king's handsome, mysterious heir watching her every move, and a ruthless mortal alliance recruiting her to join the growing civil war, DM will have to navigate the unwritten rules of love, power, and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind. Okay, so how I was saying, I picked up book 1 and I was like, yeah, we'll read this. So here we are. I read all 3 books that are currently out in 2 weeks, if that tells you anything about how I feel about them. And like, book 3 is big. So, and now I truly questioned how I'm supposed to wait until the summer of 2026 for the 4th one. And I will be sending Penn Cole my therapy bill for this because
Shouldn't you be sending Sarah J. Maas a therapy bill? At least you have a date, and that date is next summer,
This is
Bree.
true.
That's all
This is
I'm
true.
saying.
Great point. Great point. Which I could get into all of that with like, I am super happy for Penn Cole with like her publishing journey and what this series has done for her. I think that's so cool. However, I like think about this regularly to the point that I think Jared is kind of annoyed because we will just be in the car and I'll be like, oh my gosh. And if that means that, then that connects here. And that is what, and he's like, what? Can you stop talking about these books? And I'm like, but you don't understand. Like, so to say that like I'm pretty obsessed. Okay. So also on a sort of different note, and I might regret saying this because I know people definitely disagree, but DM has become one of my favorite female main characters in like a fantasy romantasy series.
Wait, like just below Aelin?
Yeah, like she's not
okay.
Aelin,
Okay,
but
I was going to ask the same question.
no, one of my
Louise and I are over
favorites.
here making eyes. We're concerned.
One of my favorites. So I really like her, and I think that's pretty controversial because I know a lot of people don't like her, which then means that they probably wouldn't like me. Because like I know it's fantasy and all, and this is sort of embarrassing to admit, and I say that because Jared told me it's embarrassing to admit, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. But like I find her very relatable. Not in that like my life does not have the magic that her life does or that she faces, but like just the decisions that she has to wrestle with in like the worlds that she ends up being really torn between, the decisions that she ends up having to face or make, I think they can be very relatable to people. And so I really appreciated that aspect of it. And the magic aside, like I felt like how she wrestles with it just felt very real as like a person. And so I appreciated that. I will say, so it is definitely marketed as like a romantasy series, and it is. However, I will tell you that the slow burn burns and burns and burns and burns and burns and burns. So, like, if you're going into this and you're like, man, the romantasy is going to be like off the charts, book 1, I'll tell you right now, book 1 is a lot of world building. But I like that because I actually really liked the world that's created. I think it gets better with each book too because you get exposed to even more. And the cliffhangers are like unreal and definitely leave you wanting more. So I can't recommend it enough for anyone that likes fantasy. Sorry, Megan.
So glad to hear your review, Brie, because this has also been on my TBR for like ever, and moving up the list.
Move her up so you can suffer with me for months. Like
perfect. And just I am the as a trigger, not trigger warning, but like the slow burn burns. I think that's good to know. Maybe going in.
Yeah, it is so well done. Like it's so well done. But I know that some people read it and they're like, "Where's the romance?" And it's a slow burn, and she burns and burns and burns and burns over the books. So just gonna put that out there. Set those expectations from the get-go. Yes, please do. Please do. You have to, and then let me know. I know someone else, and I like saw her for dinner recently, and I hadn't seen her in months, and I was just like, have you started Spark of the Everflame? And she was just like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how far are you? Have you gotten to book 3? And she was like, not yet. And I was like, I need you to get there. Get to book 3. Call me after.
No, there you go.
Okay. So we started with Emily Henry, so we shall end with Emily Henry on a different book because I also read Funny Story. And again, this is the Goodreads recap. So, Daphne always loved the way her fiance Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love over an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He was really good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend Petra. Oh, that baby.
Baby.
Hi, baby.
I just been hearing her screaming, crying, so I figured
Oh,
I'll just stay on mute.
You're
you're
fine.
okay. Okay. So, which is how Daphne begins her news story. Stranded in beautiful Waning Bay, Michigan, without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian that barely pays the bills, and proposing to be roommates with the one and only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Novak. Scruffy and chaotic, with a penchant for taking solace in the sounds of heartbreak love ballads, Miles is exactly the opposite of practical, buttoned-up Daphne, whose coworkers know so little about her that they have a running bet that she's either FBI or in witness protection. The roommates mainly avoid one another until one day, while drowning their sorrows, they definitely didn't drown their sours, they form a tenuous friendship and a plan. If said plan also involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their summer adventures together, well, who could blame them? But it's all for show, of course, because there's no way Daphne would actually start her new chapter by falling in love with her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex, right? Okay, so
Sounds like a funny story.
it's a funny story. It's hilarious. I love Emily Henry. And then I
So
think I've
much.
said this, yes, I've said this about other authors though, that I also get like worried that I'm gonna read a book and like it's just not gonna live up to like how I feel about them. So, and that's like, I don't know why. It's just this mental thing that I really have a really hard time overcoming. So I was hesitant about this one. I was also hesitant about the story because I was like, how the heck does that happen? And how are you gonna make that sound realistic? But every time I pick up an Emily Henry book, I do become addicted, and this was no different. So I read it in like a day. Um, I'm so this one like is true to her with the balancing the humor and the witty banter with like emotional and also air quotes finding yourself storylines. Emily Henry has that down to an art. So I absolutely loved it. I breezed through it. Miles specifically, out of the like Emily Henry books that I've read, he is absolute perfection. Like
Heard
he
that
just
a lot
oh
about him
he's
from her books
Jordan,
specifically.
he's
Oh,
he's perfect. Like he's incredible.
I'm here for the
like
perfect male main character. Please,
yep. No
by all
notes on
means.
Miles. No notes on
Woo.
him.
Well,
So
all right
I
then.
was this one specifically, like if you are a fan of opposites attract,
Yes.
friends to lovers,
Yes.
and forced proximity, love it, then this is your next read. Yeah, I loved it. Funny story by Emily Henry. It's a must.
I really love how we started with Emily Henry and we're ending with Emily. It just feels like the right way to go for this month's recap. It really, really does.
We should coordinate more often.
I know.
Start with
No.
Right? That well, and like I didn't even really intend to, but I was in an indie bookstore the other weekend, a new one, and so I had to get a book. Two actually. I had to get two books. One of them I bought because of the sprayed edges.
Show us.
I'll show you.
What was
Oh,
this one? Let's do it. Let's do the sprayed edges reveal.
okay.
Excuse
I got
me.
one.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, hold on, guys.
I love the suspense.
Can't put my
I feel like I need a drum roll, like
Oh my
a sound
gosh, I'm
effect or
so
something.
sorry. Okay. So this is Nightweaver, by R.M. Gray, and I want to make sure this is the sprayed edge. I will not let
Nice.
them take me.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Isn't
Very
it?
cool.
That is
That
really
is
cool.
legit.
Very cool.
It is. It's beautiful. Yeah, I was like
Beautiful.
this. So this is a book that I have seen, and I'm intrigued, I will say.
There you go.
But the sprayed edges definitely like did it. I was just like, okay, we must get you now. So, so I got that along with Funny Story, and Funny Story I pretty much started reading like when I got in the car, and then couldn't stop.
That's amazing.
All right, Emily, let's
I'll
see.
just say, okay, so I have been eyeing this book for a while. It's Remarkably Bright Creatures.
Same.
because this has like been on my TBR, but I have resisted buying the hardcover or the Kindle version. I don't know why on the Kindle, but just I have like put it off. And it's in paperback, but the paperback has sprayed edges.
It's
Like,
so pretty.
So pretty.
check this out. So I was like, I don't normally see a paperback with sprayed edges.
You
So
really need to bump
it
that
ended
one
up
up your TBR. You
it ended
really,
up in
really
my heart.
do. I
Yeah,
And it's
love that.
got
selfishly,
like
I would like you to bump that up because I would like your review.
yeah, this is on my list.
Bree said I would like that review like yesterday.
Selfishly,
No.
I would really like to know what your thoughts are on that. That's
It is
really pretty.
it is like moving up my list like
Good.
quickly. Yeah.
As it should. You'll get through that one so fast.
I find that on mat leave, and maybe this is just me, that I am just burning through books way faster than normally, which is a good thing. But so this will come fast.
There you go. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Awesome. What another great just selection of books. I mean, my TBR grew again, I guess. Like, not to be
Per
a broken
usual.
record, but it did. Like, I'm just so excited to do some of these, although I feel like we're gonna have to keep up. Like, every time you guys mention one, I'm like, okay, now I have to go read that. But I'm like, but I also have to read something new because I can't come back with the same
With the
book.
No, can we just say though, the children's book was a fantastic touch, Megan.
I 100%.
That I thought
And
it
maybe
was so
I
good.
might have to throw in those more often because I read to Leo every night, so I'm like, well, maybe that should start counting toward my books read.
I think, Megan, it should, because we've got a rotation. I don't know about you, but like of 5, board books or like Dr. Seuss books that just are on repeat like all the time. Yep.
Oh yes, we are. His like most recent, he's gotten really into Clifford, like watching it. So then I started buying
Cute.
like the OG Clifford books. So he's been really into those stories recently. And we went to Half Price Books like last summer, and they had a Clifford book, but it was like the top four
Oh,
Clifford books
fun.
all in one book. So we've been breezing through that. He knows the word contents because of the table of contents.
Okay. I
There
love
you
it.
So he
go.
can like recognize it on, I'm like, you're reading because you know the
You're
word
reading.
contents.
Yeah. That's so cute. We're big on green eggs and ham,
Oh yeah.
which my son calls ham. It's called hamma hamma.
Hamma hamma.
So
I love that.
yeah, hamma hamma. And then the one that cracks me up is, so I I watched the movie Wicked during nap time, and my son woke up right as Defying Gravity was like kicking off on the
Of
movie.
course.
Of course, right? And he is now obsessed with Defying Gravity and what he calls the green and the pink. And so he will like stand on the ottoman like of our couch and like go, "It's me," and like jump onto the couch. So I was at Target. This
Please
is a good
tell me
ending.
you've recorded this. I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt.
next time he does it, I'll record it and share. But so I was at Target, and they have made, because Wicked is such like a massive franchise,
Yeah.
they have a children's book for
Yes.
just Defying Gravity. And so, of course, we had to get it, and now we read Defying Gravity Wicked as a children's book like every night before bed, and we say goodnight to the green and the pink, and it's adorable.
That's wonderful.
Cheers.
That is too cute.
It's fun. But Megan, I think you should add more books like that. We can swap
Absolutely.
recommendations, because I haven't gotten my son into Clifford yet, but I'm trying.
Yes. Yeah. Amazon Prime has a lot of PBS shows since PBS is, we don't know in this political climate what's going to happen. So, a lot of it is on PBS. So like Arthur and Clifford and like the stuff that I remember watching growing up. So we like randomly, because he was, sorry, this is like taking us way past and you guys don't care about this, but he was getting like really overstimulated with other like newer shows because everything is so like in your face and songs and
Yes.
music all the time. And it was like really severely affecting his mood. Like we could tell he would just be a lot more edgy and angry and just, so we were like, no, we're not going to watch any of these shows anymore. So now he watches Blue's Clues and Clifford and like these nice, gentle, kind shows. And then what's nice is, again, like he's gotten really into now reading those books too, because it's reflective of what he's watching. So we're on that trend right now. So
100%. Megan, if you've got Prime too, check out Little Bear.
yes,
That's like we like our season pass holders. I like it's also calming for me from like a chaotic day to just like
Loved Little Bear growing up.
Little Bear. It's like we love Little Bear. We're all
Yes.
about Little Bear. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was children's corner of this podcast.
Right?
Hey, that's
And
awesome.
so a new segment of the show coming soon is
I will say, Brie, and I know we're wrapping up. I think what's been fun about this episode is that all the books we've read have had like a connection for us. For like we talk about, 7 Year Slip has, Brie, we shared the like work-life balance. Jordan, you talked about, Broken Country and some of the long distance stuff from the Abby Jimenez book. Megan, the children's book that Jordan was saying just was like chef's kiss and bringing that in to start it off. I think it's just fun that these reading recaps all have a personal element, and we get off on these fun tangents.
I do too. I think the tangents make it fun for us. Hopefully fun for everyone listening too. Although sometimes I feel like, I think Megan and I were talking about this sort of like, sometimes we share things that we're like, ooh, like, I don't know if I meant to share that, but it came out and now the world knows.
Or like,
so,
or like if God forbid someone that we like mutually know or like remembers us and we're like, well, we got a story about you.
yeah. Gosh, was it? I think it might have been, I don't know if it was People We Meet on Vacation, but I do remember there was like a story that like I told you about and I like went in and like edited chunks of it. I was like, just in case, I was like, they'll probably never listen to that, but on the off chance that they do, I was like, we're gonna shorten that a bit.
There you go.
So, all right. Well, other episodes coming up, though, we have an awesome conversation. Sloan Harlow is coming back. She's been on the show before, and she has a brand new book out. So super excited to talk to her about that. Megan and I talked with her last year, and it was just, she's so fun and easy to chat with. So I'm really looking forward to another conversation with her about her newest book. And then, of course, our series special that Jordan will be leading. We are, let me say it right, The Man Who Died Twice. I don't know why I have to like think about that in my head a little bit harder for some reason.
Listener, we were talking about that off podcast and Brie was like, it just lives in my head as Thursday Murder Club 2.
Well, like it just takes, it's like one of those things that I know it, but I have to have that one intentional second to like put the words in order.
It takes just a little bit more mental power, brain power.
It doesn't just flow out for me for unknown reasons, reasons that are totally my own fault. So all that is coming up yet this month on the show. So please like, subscribe, tune in. And yeah, everyone else want to plug yourself?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
You can find me, Emily, at books.bottles.
And you can find me and Megan on Narratives Nightcaps.
We're pretty easy to find around here.
We are. Thank you all so much for listening. We hope you're enjoying whatever you're reading and maybe getting some nice recommendations from these reading recaps. Cheers.
Cheers, friends.